Alaska has amazing scenery, wildlife, and outdoor adventures. Cruising season in Alaska begins in April and ends in October. When it comes to planning a trip to Alaska, timing is everything. It can make or break your adventure. In this video, you will discover the ideal time to embark on an unforgettable Alaska cruise while saving money. Hi y'all, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Becky.
And together we're a cruising good time.
We love cruising to Alaska. There is so many amazing things you can do outside, really enjoy nature. However, it really varies across the time frame. And it's so important to pick the best time so that you can do everything you want to do at the right price.
In this video, we're going to talk about several considerations when examining when to go on your Alaska cruise, such as when shore excursions may or may not be operating, when is the wildlife best visible, what's the best temperature, when's the most daylight, and most of all, how to get the most bang out of your buck, because Alaska cruises can be very expensive and we need to make that dollar stretch as far as we can.
First, let's talk about one of my very favorite things, and that is taking an adventure where you get away from the cities and you get out into the wilderness. I love going kayaking and rafting and taking boats that take you out to the wilderness where you can see animals in the wild. If you love these type of outdoor adventures, be aware that they are only offered some times of year. For instance, they will only operate from like mid-May through mid-September. And it's going to vary a little bit on what you're going to do and which port you're at. You may want to really check out the timing of these when you select when to go on your cruise.
One of our favorite things to do in Alaska is go see all that wonderful wildlife that the Alaska nature offers. And one of our favorite things, or a couple of our favorite things to go see are the bears and the eagles. And the best place to see those bears and eagles are where the salmon are running. So you can see by this chart right here that the salmon will run from middle May all the way out to middle part of September. But only the kings are running early on. Your best bang for your buck is going to be between middle July and middle August when the other four species are all running, and then you can still catch some coho all the way out to September. With more salmon running, bigger probability of seeing some bears and eagles that are going to go dine on those salmon.
In the comment section, we have pasted a link to where we got this information, and this resource also has additional information on salmon running in specific ports. So no wildlife discussion is complete without discussing whales. There are many different types of whales in Alaska. The most common to see are the humpback whales and the orcas. And they will offer whale watching excursions throughout the entire Alaska cruise season. However, they only offer guarantees to see a whale from June through August, which is also some of the best time where you're less likely to have rain or excessive wind during your excursion. And this is a great segue into our next discussion, the weather.
Weather has several key components for making a great cruise. Those are temperature, rainfall, and cloudiness. We're going to look at Juneau primarily on this because it has a lot of data, but Juneau is also indicative of the weather up and down the entire panhandle of Alaska, more or less, so you can get a good idea of all the different type of criteria.
And a lot of our data is from WeatherSpark, and we're going to put a link to that in the comments below.
This chart shows the high and low temperature at Juneau throughout the year, and you can see that between May and September, it's actually pretty pleasant on the high temperatures. Highs about 58 in the May, gets up to about 65, and then starts tapering off pretty quickly there in September. The low temperature can vary a lot more than the high temperatures, with lows at 43 early in the season and then about 51 later in the season. Most people will tell you that last week of July is the peak time to go to Alaska.
Another key factor is rainfall. So this graph is the percentage of days in which various types of precipitation are observed. So you can see that on most days, you're going to be really happy that you have that raincoat as your outer layer when you leave your cruise ship. And you can see that the least likely you are to be rained on is at the beginning of June, and it increases from there.
I was actually surprised about that because I thought it'd be kind of high at the spring and the fall, but in this case, the spring has a little bit lower rain, and the fall, it really jumps on up there.
Yeah, and if you were to look, you would see some of the days that have the lowest amount of days have the most rainfall that falls. So that was interesting. So next, we're going to talk about cloudiness. So on this graph, you can see that the chance of clear skies or the amount of cloud cover does not really vary that much throughout the cruising season. And there's about a 10% chance of totally clear skies.
Now this chart shows the amount of daylight and twilight at Juneau throughout the year, and And as you know, Alaska is very far north, so they have very long days in the summertime, going all the way to 18 hours and 18 minutes right there at the summer solstice. But even by the start of the cruise season there, start of May, you're looking at 16-hour days. You're getting down to about 12-hour days at the very end of the season.
The amount of sunlight is wonderful in Alaska because you can put in so many fabulous activities in your day. We are frequently asked, can you see the northern lights during an Alaska cruise? And the answer is, it is possible, but it is unlikely.
Yep.
There are the factors to consider. So the first is, of course, you need dark, cloudless skies. So we talked about the dark skies, right? And you can see that some of the times the nights are very, very short. And if you bring off into that, of course, cloudiness, you saw there's only 10% of the time that there's a lack of clouds.
So yeah, the panhandle of Alaska is also kind of far south for seeing the northern lights. So with all those combined, if you see the northern lights, you're lucky. But there's other cruises to go see the northern lights on. Up around Iceland, we've had great success seeing them up around Norway. And so there's other places to go see those northern lights if that's what you want to check out.
We're going to put a link to our Search for the Northern Lights cruise down below, where we cover a lot of the important details on being able to see them. We're also going to put a link to this great website that'll show you when there's a lot of solar activity, so you can look at that and the weather and determine if you want to set your alarm and get up to see those fabulous northern lights. We have done many videos on Alaska. To learn more about different ports, etc., check out our Alaska playlist.
So as promised, we talk about the best time to go to Alaska and how to get the most bang for your buck. We chose two similar cruises in 2026 and 2025, a round trip inside passage out of Seattle. And this is a chart of the date versus the cost per week on the cruise. And you can see for 2025 on a Discovery Princess, there's considerable difference between going a low season to the high season of about $400 per week. If we look at the 2026 graph on the Royal Princess, it's not quite as big a difference. It's only about $300 difference between the low season and the high season.
The last week of July is considered the best time to go on an Alaska cruise. And anything from mid-July through mid-August is really considered prime time. We also recommend cruising a few weeks either side of that. However, looking at those graphs, you can see that all of August are really good deals to go on a cruise. Everything's available, the weather's good. This is just a terrific time to go. You can also see that if you book a year in advance, you may find some good deals. And of course, we always just watch for good deals all the time.
We've gotten some good deals just on last minute ones. But yeah, so just look around at your favorite cruise line's website and see what you can find out there, because there's bargains to be had. You just got to go find them.
Yeah, it's interesting that sometimes this cruise that's amazing will come out at this ridiculously low price. So look from time to time. Cruise lines vary from different ones on how much deposit you need to put down. Make sure they're refundable, and you can't go wrong. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this video.
If you liked the video, please give us a like and subscribe and turn on those notifications. It really helps us out.
Until next time, have a cruising good time.